Getting offers, that's the easy part. If you built a great business, you're going to get interest. Deals don't break there. They break in diligence, after the excitement, after the headline number, when the buyers start digging in. This is where deals get retraded. The price gets lowered, the terms start to change, and then the conditions start to pile up. Hey everybody, welcome to the Going Beyond the Deal podcast. I am your host, J. Michael Fischer Jr. You know, a lot of people ask the question, why should you hire an investment banker? Most founders think they're selling a business. They're not. They're actually negotiating their life's work with people who do this for a living. People who have teams, playbooks, and reps. And you've got one shot. If you're thinking about selling, this probably feels familiar. You're making decisions all day, but they feel heavier than they used to. You're second-guessing things that used to be instinct. And in the background, there's constant pressure. What if I get this wrong? Because this isn't just a business decision. This affects your family, your employees, your future. And on paper, you're successful. But most of your wealth, well, it's tied up in the business. It's illiquid and untouched. And in this moment, your big exit, it's your one real shot to turn something intangible into something tangible. There's no practice run. There's no do-over. Here's what I see happen all the time when founders go through this alone or without the right help. They get an offer, maybe two, and they think, is this just where the market is? But there's never any real competition, no real tension. So the deal comes in quickly and it's quietly undervalued. Or even worse, they pick the wrong buyer. On paper, it looks great. But after the deal, culture starts to shift. People leave. And that earnout that you're supposed to get becomes a real source of stress. Then comes deal fatigue. Months of back and forth, documents, calls, until eventually you just want to be done with it. And that's when bad terms get accepted. Not because they're good or bad, but just because you're tired. And behind the scenes, missed tax structures, money left on the table, and worse, leaks in the process. Employees start hearing rumors before anything's ever even signed, and panic starts early. These aren't small mistakes. They're permanent ones. This is where most founders think, I need an investment banker. But that framing is way too small. The right person in this process is called a process architect. They design how the deal actually happens. They're a deal quarterback. Everything runs through them, so nothing drops. They're an emotional buffer because this process will get emotional. And you can't negotiate clearly when it does. They're a market translator. They know what buyers say and what they actually mean. And maybe most importantly, they're your access point to buyers you will never meet on your own. The best advisors don't just run a process. They compress 2 years of trial and error into 6 months. They create leverage that you cannot create on your own. Multiple buyers, real competition, optionality. And while that's happening, you can stay focused on running the business. Because the better your business performs during the process, the more valuable it becomes. And the more valuable it stays. This isn't just about convenience. It's about time and risk being reduced. Here's what most founders never see. What great actually looks like behind the scenes. A truly great advisor understands your business so well that if you drop them into the company tomorrow, they could operate inside it. They could join meetings. They could talk to your team. They could explain how the business works. And no one would question it. And then there's the numbers. This is where the gap really shows. Most advisors take your financials, clean them up a bit, and just run with it. But elite teams rebuild the financial model from the ground up, not because they don't trust you, but because they need to understand exactly how your business works through the numbers. What drives growth, what impacts margins, and what breaks under pressure. Because when you build it yourself, you don't just see the numbers, you understand the mechanics behind them. So when a buyer pushes back, you're ready. Here's the part that no one tells you. Getting offers, that's the easy part. If you built a great business, you're going to get interest. Deals don't break there. They break in diligence, after the excitement, after the headline number, when the buyers start digging in. This is where deals get retraded. The price gets lowered. The terms start to change. And then the conditions start to pile up. And if you're not prepared, it happens slowly. A concession here, a change there, until the deal you thought you had isn't that deal anymore. This is where great advisors earn their fee. Not by getting you an offer, but by getting you through diligence with your value intact. I'm not going to lie. Diligence is the worst part of the process. It's where the grind starts. Endless requests, constant scrutiny, and you're still trying to run your business at the same time. But this is where the right team changes everything. Because they don't just react, they prepare. They find the gray areas and fix them before the process starts. So when diligence comes, you're not scrambling. You're actually ready. There's this myth that investment bankers are so expensive, so founders start to shop fees. But that's the wrong question. The real question is, what value do they create that wouldn't exist otherwise? We've had founders come in with a number in mind, and they're surprised to learn that the floor could have actually been higher because they've never seen a fully run process. And that's the lever. Competition, not just one offer, a process with multiple buyers and real tension. And that incremental value often covers a fee, and more times than not covers it many times over. The fee isn't the risk. Leaving value on the table is. You'll also hear you need someone who specializes in your industry. But here's the problem. That can also create blind spots. Some advisors go to the same buyers every time. Same process, same playbook. And in most deals, the obvious buyer isn't the one that wins. If your advisor is only fishing in a small pond, you'll never see the full market. Experience matters, but real experience is pattern recognition across all industries. Knowing how to position different businesses to different types of buyers. This isn't about staying in a lane. It's about expanding the field. This is why I love talking to founders years before a sale, because the earlier you start, the more control you have. You can fix things early, strengthen your position, and think strategically. A lot of what I do is education, because founders who start early end up winning. If you're a founder or run a family-owned business and you're even thinking about what an exit could look like, start the conversation early. It doesn't mean you're selling now. It means you're getting informed. Listen, I'm always happy to have a confidential conversation and talk through where you are, what your options look like, and how the market would view your business. And if it's helpful, we can put together a fully customized enterprise value report. No cost, no obligation. Just a clear view of where you stand today, how you stack up in the market, and how you can improve your outcome over time. Because this isn't just about selling a company, it's about protecting what you've built and making sure that when the time comes, you do it right. The earlier you understand your options, the better outcomes will be. Thank you for joining me on the Going Beyond the Deal podcast. Let's continue to build something meaningful together. Have a great day, everybody.